In the vast, uncharted expanse of the cosmos, where stars whispered secrets to those daring enough to listen, Max Thompson found himself utterly lost. He was no hero from the tales of old Earth legends, no rippling muscles, no laser-sharp instincts honed by battle, just a lanky software engineer from a quiet suburb on Terra Prime, the kind of guy who spent his days debugging code and his nights dreaming of adventures he'd never chase. At 28, Max was the epitome of ordinary, glasses perpetually sliding down his nose, a mop of unruly brown hair, and a body that screamed desk job rather than space explorer. But fate, that cruel jester of the universe, had other plans. It started with a glitch. Max's shuttle, a budget model he'd rented for a solo vacation to the neutral colonies, malfunctioned mid-warp. One moment, he was sipping synthetic coffee, scrolling through holographic novels about interstellar romances. The next, alarms blared as the ship plummeted through a rogue wormhole. The vessel shuddered, lights flickering like dying fireflies, before crashing onto the lush, alien soil of Lunara, a planet shrouded in perpetual twilight, its skies painted with auroras that danced like living flames. Max stumbled out of the wreckage, coughing up smoke and clutching his survival pack. The air was thick, scented with wildflowers and something primal, almost feral. Towering trees with bioluminescent leaves arched overhead, casting ethereal glows on the ground. He checked his scanner, no signal, no rescue beacon. Great, he muttered, his voice echoing strangely in the alien woods. Just my luck. Stranded on some backwater rock. But Lunara was no backwater. It was the heart of the Lunaran Empire, a realm ruled by a species of ethereal beings known as the Aurelians, alien women who blended the grace of ancient myths with the ferocity of wolves. They were stunning, almost otherworldly, porcelain skin that shimmered under moonlight, flowing white hair that cascaded like silken waterfalls, and delicate, pointed ears that twitched at the slightest sound, reminiscent of elven lore from Earth's forgotten stories. Their bodies were sculpted perfection, curves accentuated by elegant, form-fitting garments woven from iridescent fabrics that hugged their forms like a lover's embrace, low-cut tops that revealed just enough to tease, skirts slit high for freedom of movement in their ritual hunts. They moved with a predatory elegance, their eyes glowing faintly in hues of silver and gold, hinting at the ancient instincts bubbling beneath their sophisticated veneer. Unbeknownst to Max, his arrival had not gone unnoticed. The Aurelians, a matriarchal society where strength and allure intertwined, sensed intruders like prey in the wind. 3 princesses, heirs to the throne of Lunara, were already on the prowl. Luna, the eldest, with her commanding presence and hair like moonlight itself, ruled the northern clans with an iron will veiled in silk. Zara, the fiery middle sister, her eyes burning with untamed passion, led the western wilds where storms raged eternal. And Nara, the youngest, sly and enchanting, commanded the southern mists with a wit as sharp as her claws. They converged on the crash site, drawn by an inexplicable pull. Max's human scent, earthy, unrefined, laced with the subtle musk of fear and curiosity, wafted through the air like an aphrodisiac. In Aurelian lore, humans were mythical beings, weak mortals from distant stars whose essence could awaken dormant powers in their kind. To possess one was to claim ultimate dominance, a bond that amplified strength, fertility, and allure. The sisters, long rivals in their quest for the throne, saw Max not as a threat, but as a prize, a living key to supremacy. Luna arrived first, her lithe form emerging from the shadows like a ghost. She wore a gown of midnight blue, embroidered with glowing runes that pulsed with her heartbeat. "What is this?" she purred, her voice a melodic growl that sent shivers down Max's spine. Her pointed ears flicked, and she circled him slowly, her hips swaying with hypnotic grace. "A fragile thing from the void. You reek of stars and vulnerability." Max froze, his heart pounding. She was beautiful, terrifyingly so. Her white hair framed a face of sharp angles and soft lips, her daw white as fresh snow, contrasting with the golden glow of her eyes. Before he could stammer a response, Zara burst through the underbrush, her attire a daring crimson ensemble that left little to the imagination, slits revealing toned thighs and a glimpse of her curvaceous form. "Sister, you found our intruder," she snarled, her voice husky and challenging. "But he is mine to claim. His scent, it stirs the beast within." Nara slinked in last, her outfit a shimmering green that clung to her like vines, accentuating her slender yet voluptuous figure. She tilted her head, ears perking with mischief. "Oh, but look at him," she cooed, her tone laced with playful seduction. "So breakable, yet so intriguing. Imagine what fun we could have taming such a creature." Max backed against a tree, his mind reeling. "Wait, whoa ladies, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm just a guy from Earth, crashed here by accident. No need for whatever this is." But his words fell on deaf ears. The princesses' rivalry ignited, their eyes locking in a silent battle. To them, he was no mere castaway, he was the catalyst for their ambitions. The one who claimed him would gain an edge in the impending succession war, their union awakening ancient Aurelian magics. As the sisters argued in their lyrical tongue, Max's scanner beeped faintly, a warning of approaching storms, or perhaps something worse. Little did he know this was only the beginning. The air crackled with tension, a mix of danger and desire that wrapped around him like a web. Would he escape or become entangled in their world of passion and power? The forest seemed to hold its breath as Luna stepped closer, her hand brushing Max's arm. A spark jumped between them, electric and undeniable. "You will come with us," she declared, her gaze piercing. "To the heart of Lunara, where your fate and ours will be decided." Max swallowed hard, his ordinary life shattering like glass. As they led him deeper into the woods, the auroras above swirled brighter, as if the stars themselves were watching this unlikely romance unfold. The path ahead was fraught with trials, but in that moment, amid the alien beauty and brewing storm of emotions, Max felt a strange thrill. For the first time, he wasn't just surviving, he was alive. The journey to the capital was a blur of wonders and whispers. Towering spires of crystal rose from the mist-shrouded valleys, cities built into living trees that hummed with bioluminescent energy. The Aurelians they passed bowed to the princesses, their eyes widening at the sight of Max, a human, a legend made flesh. Whispers spread like wildfire, "The weak mortal has come. The prophecy awakens." Luna walked beside him, her presence commanding yet curiously protective. "Tell me of your world," she said softly, her voice weaving through the night air. "What makes a man like you venture into the unknown?" Max chuckled nervously, adjusting his glasses. "Honestly, boredom. Back home life's predictable. Code coffee, repeat. Never thought I'd end up here, with you three." Zara scoffed from ahead, her hips swaying with each step. "Predictable, how dull. On Lunara we live for the hunt, the chase. You humans are soft, but perhaps that's your allure, something to conquer, to ignite our fires." Nara glanced back, her smile wicked. "Or to play with. Imagine the games we could devise, little mortal." Max's cheeks flushed, a mix of embarrassment and intrigue. Their banter was laced with innuendo, their bodies moving with a sensuality that made his pulse race. As they crested a hill, the grand palace of Aurales came into view, a magnificent structure of glowing stone and vines, perched on a cliff overlooking endless forests. Guards with similar ethereal features saluted, their armor sleek and form-fitting. Inside, the halls echoed with ancient songs, murals depicting Aurelian queens bonded with mythical outsiders. The sisters led Max to a chamber adorned with silken cushions and holographic flames. "Rest here," Luna commanded, though her eyes lingered on him. "Tomorrow, the trials begin. We will compete for you, and you will see what it means to be desired by the stars." As the door closed, Max sank onto the bed, his mind swirling. Desired, him. It was absurd, exhilarating. Outside, the princesses convened in secret, their rivalry simmering. "He is the key," Zara insisted. "His essence will make me queen. But only if you win him," Nara teased. Luna's expression softened. "Perhaps he wins us all." Unseen forces stirred on Lunara, rival factions, ancient enemies lurking in the shadows. Max's arrival had tipped the balance, and the night was young with possibilities. As he drifted to sleep, dreams of white-haired beauties and cosmic adventures filled his thoughts, pulling him deeper into this tantalizing web. The morning light filtered through crystal windows, casting rainbows across the room. Max awoke to servants, more Aurelian women, their attire equally alluring, bringing trays of exotic fruits and nectar. "For the chosen one," they murmured, their gazes curious. "Chosen?" The word sent a jolt through him. He dressed in the provided robes, soft fabrics that felt like a caress. Stepping out, he found the sisters waiting in the grand hall, surrounded by courtiers. The air was thick with anticipation, scents of jasmine and musk mingling. "The first trial, the hunt of hearts," Luna announced, her voice resonating. "We shall pursue a sacred beast in the whispering woods. The one who brings it down with the mortal's aid claims first favor." Max blinked. "Aid? I'm not exactly a hunter." Zara grinned, her teeth flashing. That's the fun part. Your weakness is our strength, or so the legends say. As they set off, mounted on sleek, hovering steeds that glided silently, Max rode behind Luna, his arms tentatively around her waist. Her body was warm, curves pressing against him in a way that made concentration impossible. Hold tighter, she whispered, a hint of amusement in her tone. Or you'll fall. The woods enveloped them, alive with sounds of unseen creatures. Nara led a flanking path, her laughter echoing, "Catch me if you can, sisters." The beast appeared, a majestic creature of light and shadow, its form shifting like smoke. The chase began, hearts pounding in unison. Max's mind raced, drawing on his tech knowledge. Spotting a pattern in the beast's movements, he shouted, "It's following ley lines. Disrupt the energy field." Luna nodded, channeling her powers through a crystal staff. With Max's guidance, they cornered it. But danger loomed, an ambush from shadowy figures, rivals seeking to sabotage the trials. In the chaos, Max's quick thinking saved the day, hacking a nearby ancient obelisk with his scanner to create a barrier. The sisters triumphed, but the bond grew. As they returned, victorious yet breathless, Max realized this was no game. It was destiny, wrapped in desire. The palace buzzed with tales of the mortals' ingenuity. That evening, a feast was held, tables laden with delicacies that tantalized the senses. The princesses flanked Max, their touches lingering, a brush of fingers, a shared glance. "Tell us more of your kind," Nara urged, her ear twitching playfully. Max shared stories of Earth, of love lost and found, his voice growing confident. Their laughter filled the air, a symphony of allure. But beneath it, tension brewed. Who would claim him first? As the night deepened, Luna pulled him aside to a balcony overlooking the auroras. "You intrigue me, Max. In your weakness, I see strength." Their eyes met, a spark igniting. Zara watched from afar, jealousy flickering. Nara plotted her move. The stage was set for deeper entanglements, where hearts and stars collided. Max, the unlikely hero, was just beginning to embrace his role in this cosmic dance. The night air on Lunara carried an intoxicating chill, laced with the faint hum of distant auroras that painted the sky in swirling veils of emerald and violet. Max stood on the balcony, his fingers still tingling from where Luna's hand had grazed his arm moments before. The feast's echoes lingered below clinking goblets, murmured laughter from the courtiers, but up here, it felt like the world had narrowed to just the two of them. Her presence was overwhelming, a magnetic pull that made his skin prickle with awareness. Luna leaned against the crystalline railing, her white hair cascading over one shoulder like a river of moonlight, catching the glow from above and making her seem almost ethereal. Her gown, that midnight blue silk embroidered with pulsing runes, clung to her curves in ways that drew his eyes despite his best efforts to look away. The fabric shifted with her every breath, revealing glimpses of pale skin that shimmered faintly, as if dusted with stardust. "You speak of strength and weakness," she murmured, her voice a low, velvety rumble that vibrated through the space between them. Her golden eyes locked onto his, pupils dilating slightly in the dim light, and Max felt a flush creep up his neck. There was something predatory in her gaze, yet softened by curiosity, a hunter intrigued by prey that didn't flee. She stepped closer, the scent of her enveloping him, wild jasmine mixed with a deeper, musky undertone that stirred instincts he hadn't known he possessed. "On Lunara, power is in the chase," the claim, "but you evade without running. It's maddening." Max swallowed, his throat dry. He could feel the heat radiating from her body, inches away now, her pointed ears twitching as if attuned to the rapid beat of his heart. I'm not trying to evade anything," he stammered, though his voice came out huskier than intended. "This is all new to me. Back on Earth, we don't have trials or prophecies. We just date, maybe grab coffee." He tried for a light laugh, but it caught as her fingers trailed lightly up his arm, tracing the sleeve of his borrowed robe. The touch was electric, sending sparks dancing along his nerves. Luna's lips curved into a slow, knowing smile, her breath warm against his ear as she leaned in. "Coffee, how quaint. Here, we savor the hunt." Her hand paused at his shoulder, then slid to the nape of his neck, pulling him gently but insistently closer. Max's mind raced, part of him screamed to pull back, to remember he was stranded, outmatched, but another part, deeper and more primal, leaned into the sensation. Her body pressed against his, soft yet firm, the swell of her breasts brushing his chest through the thin fabric. He could feel the rhythm of her heartbeat, faster now, syncing with his own in a way that felt impossibly intimate. From the shadows of the balcony entrance, a soft rustle broke the moment. Zara emerged, her crimson attire glowing like embers in the auroral light. She moved with a deliberate sway, hips undulating in a rhythm that was both graceful and aggressive, her white hair tied back in a warrior's braid that accentuated the sharp lines of her face. Her eyes, burning with that untamed fire, narrowed at the sight of them. "Sister," she drawled, her voice laced with challenge and a hint of amusement. "Starting without us? How unfair." She sauntered forward, her skirt's high slits revealing toned legs that flexed with each step, drawing Max's gaze involuntarily. The air thickened with tension, a charged atmosphere that made his pulse thunder. Luna didn't pull away immediately, instead, she lingered, her fingers lingering on Max's skin before stepping back with a possessive glance. "He is not yours to interrupt, Zara. The trials dictate the order." Zara laughed, a throaty sound that sent shivers down Max's spine. She circled them slowly, her hand brushing Max's other arm in a mirror of Luna's touch, but firmer, more insistent. "Trials? Please. The mortals sent calls to all of us." She leaned in close, her lips hovering near his neck, inhaling deeply. Earthy and alive. "It awakens things in me, sister. Things that make me want to claim what's mine right here." Her words were a whisper, hot and teasing, and Max felt a rush of heat flood through him. Her body was closer now, her curves pressing against his side, the fabric of her outfit so thin he could feel the warmth of her skin beneath. Max's breath hitched, caught between the two of them. This was surreal, two alien princesses, stunning and powerful, vying for his attention in ways that blurred the line between rivalry and seduction. He glanced toward the doorway, half expecting Nara to appear and escalate things further. "Ladies, this is a lot," he managed, his voice rough. But there was no denying the thrill, the way their proximity made his body respond despite the absurdity. Nara did appear then, as if summoned by his thoughts, slipping from the shadows with her characteristic sly grace. Her green ensemble shimmered like forest leaves in the wind, clinging to her lithe form and accentuating every subtle movement. Her pointed ears perked with mischief, and she tilted her head, white hair falling in loose waves that framed her enchanting face. "Oh, the party started without me?" She purred, her voice light but edged with a playful hunger. She approached with a dancer's poise, inserting herself between her sisters with a wink at Max. Poor mortal, surrounded by wolves. Or should I say, she-wolves. Her hand found his chest, fingers splaying lightly over his heart, feeling its frantic beat. Your pulse races. Excited? Afraid? Or both? The three of them closed in, a triangle of allure that left Max breathless. Luna on one side, her touch elegant and commanding, Zara on the other, bold and fiery, Nara in front, teasing and unpredictable. Their scents mingled jasmine, spice, and something sweeter like honey-dew, creating a heady cocktail that clouded his thoughts. Zara's hand slid down his back, tracing the curve of his spine with a firmness that made him arch slightly. "Feel that?" she whispered. "The pull. Your human frailty draws us in, makes us crave more." Luna's fingers intertwined with his, guiding his hand to her waist, where the silk of her gown felt like liquid under his palm. "Ignore her bluster," she said softly, her lips brushing his ear. "Let me show you true connection." The contact was intimate, her hip pressing into his, a subtle grind that sent waves of desire crashing through him. Nara laughed softly, her body swaying closer, her breasts grazing his arm as she leaned in. "Why choose when you can sample?" Her free hand cupped his jaw, turning his face toward hers, her golden eyes sparkling with intent. She was inches away, her breath mingling with his, lips parted invitingly. Max's world spun. This wasn't just flirtation, it was a symphony of seduction, each princess amplifying the other's allure in a way that built an unbearable tension. His body responded instinctively, a hardness growing that he hoped the dim light concealed. We should talk about this," he murmured, but his words lacked conviction, lost in the haze of their touches. A distant rumble echoed through the night thunder, or perhaps something more ominous. The auroras flared brighter, casting their bodies in shifting lights that highlighted every curve, every shadow. Zara's hand ventured lower, brushing his thigh with a boldness that made him gasp. "Talk. Where's the fun in that?" She teased, her voice a low growl. Luna pulled him closer, her lips hovering near his. "The storm approaches," she warned, but her tone suggested it wasn't just the weather. "And with it, our desires." Nara's fingers danced along his collarbone, dipping beneath the robe's edge. Let us shelter you, mortal, in ways you've only dreamed. The air crackled with possibility, suspense hanging like a veil. Max knew he was teetering on the edge of something profound, a plunge into the unknown where weakness became power, and desire wove the threads of destiny. The princess's rivalry simmered, but in this moment, it fueled a shared hunger that promised ecstasy and peril in equal measure. As the first drops of rain began to fall, cool against their heated skin, Zara pressed her body fully against his, her curves molding to him. Feel the rain. It's nothing compared to the storm inside us. Her hand slid upward, teasing the edge of his robe, her touch igniting sparks that made him shudder. Luna's kiss came first soft at the outset, her lips brushing his with a tenderness that belied her strength. But it deepened quickly, her tongue exploring with a hunger that matched the growing downpour. Max kissed back, lost in the sensation, his hands instinctively pulling her closer, feeling the firmness of her waist, the swell of her hips. Nara watched for a heartbeat, then joined, her lips finding his neck, nipping gently with teeth that were sharper than human, but careful not to break skin. "My turn," she whispered, her voice breathy. Zara's hands roamed freely now, one slipping beneath his robe to trace the lines of his chest, her nails grazing lightly, sending jolts of pleasure through him. The balcony became their private sanctuary, the rain a curtain shielding them from the world below. Max's inhibitions melted away, replaced by a bold curiosity. He touched them in return, Luna's hair, soft as silk, Zara's thigh, muscled and warm, Nara's back, arching under his palm. Their bodies moved in harmony, a dance of exploration that built layer upon layer of tension. But beneath the erotic haze, a shadow lurked. Whispers from the palace halls reached them, faintly rumors of intruders, of ancient enemies stirring in the borders of Lunara. The trials were more than games, they were a battle for the throne, and Max was the unwitting prize that could tip the scales. As Zara's lips claimed his in a fierce kiss, her body grinding against him with urgent need, Max felt the first twinge of danger. A flash in the distance, not lightning, but something mechanical, a glint of metal in the storm. The princesses paused, their ears twitching in unison. "Something's wrong," Luna breathed, her hand tightening on his. The suspense tightened like a coil, the erotic interlude hanging by a thread as the night threatened to unravel into chaos. Max's heart pounded not just from desire, but from the unknown peril closing in, drawing them all into a web of passion and intrigue that Lunara's stars seemed to orchestrate. Yet in that suspended moment, with their bodies entwined and the rain slicking their skin, Max embraced the thrill. He was no longer just a lost engineer, he was the spark igniting their world, and the fire was only beginning to burn. The interruption came swiftly, a guard bursting onto the balcony, his face pale despite the aural glow. "Your Highnesses, intruders at the perimeter. Cyborg scouts from the rival faction on Dravex. They're probing our defenses." Zara growled, pulling away with reluctance, her eyes still dark with unfulfilled hunger. Of all times she adjusted her attire, the crimson fabric clinging wetly to her form, accentuating every curve in a way that made Max's gaze linger. Luna straightened, her commanding presence returning. "We must respond. Nara, rally the southern guards. Zara, the west. I'll handle the north." Her hand squeezed Max's one last time, a promise in her touch. "Stay here, mortal. This is our fight for now." Nara blew him a kiss, her smile wicked even in crisis. "Don't wander off. We have unfinished business." As they vanished into the palace, Max leaned against the railing, rain soaking him through. His body still hummed from their touches, an erotic ache that mingled with the suspense of the unfolding threat. What had he stumbled into? A world where desire and danger danced hand in hand, and he, the weak human, held the key. The storm raged on, mirroring the turmoil within him. Below, shadows moved in the forest's, enemies approaching, or allies? The night promised more revelations, more temptations, as Lunara's secrets began to unfold. Max retreated inside, his mind a whirlwind. The chamber's holographic flames flickered, casting warm light on the silken cushions where he collapsed. Memories of their kisses, their hands, replayed in vivid detail, stoking a fire that refused to dim. He touched his lips, still tasting Luna's essence, sweet and wild. But sleep evaded him. Instead, he pondered the prophecy they'd mentioned. A weak mortal to awaken powers. Was it real, or just legend? His scanner, salvaged from the crash, beeped softly on the table, a reminder of his earthly roots. Perhaps he could use it to help, to turn the tide. As the hours ticked by, the sounds of distant clashes echoed laser fire, howls of Aurelian warriors. The erotic interlude had been a brief oasis, but now the suspense built anew. Would the princesses return victorious? And what new desires would victory unleash? Dawn crept in, the auroras fading to a soft glow. Footsteps approached his door, and Max's heart leaped. Who would enter first? The answer came with a soft knock, then the door creaked open. It was Luna, disheveled but triumphant, her gown torn at the hem, revealing more of her alluring form. "We held them off," she said, stepping inside, her eyes locking on his with renewed intensity. "But the war is just beginning." She closed the distance, pulling him into an embrace that reignited the spark. Her body, still warm from battle, pressed against him, curves fitting perfectly as if molded for this moment. "You waited," she murmured, her lips finding his neck. Max nodded, his hands exploring her back, feeling the play of muscles beneath skin. "How could I not?" Their kiss deepened, erotic tension coiling tighter. But Zara and Nara burst in moments later, equally battle-worn, their attires clinging in ways that heightened their sensuality. "We all fought for you," Zara said, joining the embrace, her hand sliding possessively over his hip. Nara smiled, her touch light but insistent. "And now, we claim our reward." The room filled with their presence, a tangle of limbs and whispers that promised to blur the lines between rivalry and unity. Max surrendered to it, his human weakness becoming the bridge that bound them. As clothes slipped away in the growing light, the erotic dance resumed, suspense laced through every caress, every gasp. Lunara's fate hung in the balance, but in this chamber passion reigned supreme, a prelude to greater storms ahead. The erotic haze in the chamber thickened like the morning mist rolling in from Lunara's endless forests, wrapping around Max and the princesses in a cocoon of shared breath and heated skin. Clothes had indeed slipped away, discarded like forgotten relics on the silken floor, leaving their bodies bare to the soft glow of the holographic flames that danced along the walls. Luna's porcelain skin gleamed under the light, her curves a masterpiece of alien grace, pressed against Max's side as her lips trailed fire down his collarbone. Zara, with her fiercer build, straddled his lap, her white hair falling like a curtain as she ground against him, with a rhythm that matched the pounding of distant thunder outside. Nara, ever the playful one, knelt beside them, her fingers exploring with a teasing lightness that contrasted Zara's intensity, her pointed ears quivering with each soft moan that escaped her lips. Max's world had narrowed to sensations, the velvet touch of their skin, the mingling sense of their arousal, the way their golden eyes locked onto him with a hunger that made him feel both vulnerable and invincible. His hands roamed freely now, tracing the swell of Luna's breast, feeling the rapid flutter of her heart beneath, then sliding down Zara's thigh, eliciting a growl of approval from deep in her throat. Nara captured his mouth in a kiss that was all mischief and heat, her tongue dancing with his as if unlocking secrets only she knew. The rivalry between the sisters had melted into something collaborative, a symphony of desire where each touch amplified the others, building toward a peak that promised release and revelation. But even in this intimate tangle, the storm outside refused to be ignored. The palace walls trembled with a sudden, violent quake, not from the rain but from something far more sinister. The holographic flames flickered erratically, casting wild shadows that made the room feel alive with menace. Luna pulled back first, her ears perking sharply, golden eyes widening in alarm. "Did you feel that?" she whispered, her voice cutting through the haze like a blade. Zara froze, her body still flush against Max's, but her muscles tensed like coiled springs. "Not the weather. That's artillery." She leaped off him with predatory speed, snatching her crimson gown from the floor and wrapping it around herself in one fluid motion. Nara followed suit, her playful demeanor vanishing as she dashed to the window, peering out into the dawn-streaked chaos. Max sat up, heart slamming not just from passion but from a surge of adrenaline. "What's happening?" he asked, grabbing his robe and tying it hastily. The erotic spell shattered, replaced by a thrilling undercurrent of danger that made his skin prickle anew. He joined Nara at the window, and what he saw stole his breath. Beyond the palace cliffs, dark shapes moved through the forests, hulking cyborg invaders from Dravex, their metallic forms glinting under the fading auroras. Laser fire streaked across the sky, clashing with Aurelian energy shields that shimmered like mirages. Howls echoed from the Lunaran warriors below, a chorus of defiance mixed with the mechanical whir of enemy drones. "The scouts were just the beginning," Luna said, her voice steady but laced with fury. She donned her midnight blue attire swiftly, the runes pulsing brighter as if feeding on her anger. "Dravex has launched a full assault. They sense our vulnerability. The succession trials have divided our forces." Her eyes flicked to Max, a mix of protectiveness and something deeper, perhaps regret for the interrupted moment. "They want Lunara's core crystals, the source of our power. And now, with you here, they might suspect the prophecy." Zara snarled, tying her braid with aggressive tugs. "Let them come, I'll tear their circuits apart." But there was a curious glint in her eyes as she glanced at Max. "Your human ingenuity turned the tide last night. We need you now more than ever." Nara, still at the window, gasped. "Look, they're breaching the outer wards." A massive cyborg behemoth, towering like a mechanical wolf with glowing red optics, smashed through a barrier, sending sparks flying into the rain-soaked air. Aurelian guards rushed to meet it, their forms shifting in the dim light, ears elongating, claws extending as they tapped into their feral heritage. The battle unfolded in dramatic bursts, lasers slicing through trees, howls piercing the storm, bodies clashing in a whirlwind of fur and steel. Max's mind raced, the thrill of the moment igniting his analytical side. "Your defenses, they're energy-based, right? If I can access the palace systems." He grabbed his scanner from the table, the device humming to life in his hands. The princesses exchanged glances, a surprising trust blooming in their expressions despite the chaos. "We don't have time for hesitation," Luna declared, grabbing a crystal staff from a hidden alcove. It glowed with inner light, extending into an elegant weapon. "Max, come with us to the command spire. Sisters, rally your clans." She pulled him close for a brief, fierce kiss of promise amid the peril before leading the charge out of the chamber. The palace corridors transformed into a labyrinth of urgency. Courtiers scattered like leaves in the wind, while guards formed ranks, their white-haired forms a blur of motion. Max ran alongside the princesses, his legs burning from the pace, but the adrenaline kept him going. Explosions rocked the halls, dust sifting from the crystal ceilings. A stray laser bolt shattered a nearby mural, depicting ancient Aurelian queens bonded with outsiders, a curious parallel to his own situation that made him wonder if history was repeating itself in surprising ways. They burst into the command spire, a towering room with holographic displays floating like ghosts, showing the battlefield in real time. Aurelian commanders barked orders, their pointed ears flattened in concentration. "The behemoth is advancing," one shouted. On the main screen, the massive cyborg lumbered forward, its cannons charging with ominous red energy. Zara leaped to a console, her fingers flying over the controls, redirecting Western shields. But the system glitched, sparks flying as enemy hackers probed the network. "That's my cue," Max said, plugging his scanner in. His fingers danced across the interface, code scrolling in his mind like a familiar language. The princesses flanked him, their bodies a protective barrier, Luna's staff humming, Nara's daggers drawn, Zara's claws extended. The air crackled with tension, the climax building as the behemoth drew nearer, its footsteps thundering like earthquakes. As Max delved into the code, a surprising revelation hit him. The Dravex cyborgs weren't just invaders, their programming carried echoes of ancient Aurelian tech. "Wait, this isn't random. Their AI is based on your old designs. Stolen, maybe?" He traced the lines, uncovering a backdoor hidden in the runes, a betrayal from within Lunara's history. Luna's eyes widened. The Lost War legends spoke of a traitor who sold secrets to Dravex. "But how did you?" "No time," Max interrupted, his voice thrilled with the discovery. "He injected a virus, his earthly programming clashing with the alien code in a digital duel." The holographic display flickered wildly, showing the behemoth staggering as its systems faltered. But the enemy adapted quickly, counter-hacking with brutal efficiency. Alarms blared, intrusion detected, palace core compromised. The room erupted into chaos. Cyborg drones smashed through the spire's lower levels, climbing the walls like metallic spiders. Guards fought valiantly, but the invaders poured in. Zara roared, leaping into the fray, her body a whirlwind of strikes, claws rending metal, her fiery gown tearing as she dodged lasers. "For Lunara," she cried, taking down 2 drones in a spray of sparks. Nara moved like a shadow, her green attire blending with the holograms as she flung daggers with pinpoint accuracy, embedding them in optic sensors. "They're endless," she called, a note of curiosity in her voice amid the thrill. "Max, hurry." Luna stood guard over him, her staff unleashing arcs of energy that vaporized approaching foes. "Hold the line," she commanded, her voice dramatic and unyielding. A drone lunged at her, but she spun, staff connecting with a resounding crack, sending it flying. Max's fingers blurred, sweat beading on his brow. The code resisted, twisting like a living thing, but he found the core vulnerability, a surprising flaw rooted in the prophecy itself. The Aurelian tech was designed to amplify with a weak mortal's essence, but Dravex had corrupted it. "Got it!" he shouted, initiating the override. The behemoth outside froze, then convulsed, its cannons misfiring into its own ranks. But the victory was short-lived. A hidden explosive detonated below, the spire shaking violently. Cracks spiderwebbed the floor, and a section collapsed, swallowing guards in a plume of dust. Max tumbled toward the edge, grabbing a console just in time. Luna reached for him, her hand inches away. "Max." Zara and Nara fought their way back, drones swarming like angry hornets. In a thrilling surge, Zara grabbed Nara's hand, forming a chain to pull Luna and Max from the brink. But as they hauled him up, a cyborg leader emerged from the smoke, a towering figure with glowing red eyes, its voice a mechanical rasp. "The mortal is the key, surrender him," and Lunara falls mercifully. The princesses growled in unison, surrounding Max protectively. Luna raised her staff. "Over our lifeless forms." The confrontation peaked, lasers charging, claws ready. Max, heart pounding with curiosity and fear, realized the surprising truth: he wasn't just a prize, he was the weapon. With a final keystroke on his scanner, he unleashed a pulse that rippled through the enemy network. Drones sparked and fell, the leader staggering as its systems fried. Yet in the dramatic silence that followed, a holographic message flickered to life from the leader's core: "The true threat awakens. The prophecy binds you all to destruction." The spire stabilized, but the words hung like a curse, thrilling and curious. What hidden surprise lurked in the prophecy? The princesses turned to Max, their eyes filled with a mix of awe and unspoken questions. The battle was won, but the war and their bond teetered on the edge of something far more profound. As debris settled and reinforcements arrived, Luna pulled Max into a tight embrace, her body trembling not from exhaustion but from the intensity of it all. "You saved us," she whispered, her lips brushing his ear. Zara clapped his shoulder, a rare softness in her fierce gaze. "More than that. You changed everything." Nara smirked, though her eyes betrayed curiosity. "But what does it mean, the message?" Max looked out at the smoldering forests, the auroras reigniting in victory. The climax had passed, but the thrill lingered, a surprising twist, pulling them deeper into Lunara's mysteries. Their bodies, still humming from earlier passions, and now the rush of battle, pressed close in a moment of unity. The storm had broken, but greater tempests brewed on the horizon. The auroras above Lunara pulsed with renewed vigor, as if celebrating the hard-won reprieve, their colors weaving through the clearing smoke like threads of hope in a tapestry of turmoil. Max stood there in the command spire, encircled by the princesses, their warmth a stark contrast to the cooling debris scattered around them. Luna's embrace lingered a beat longer than necessary, her curves molding against him in a way that stirred memories of their earlier entanglement, her breath warm on his neck. Zara's hand on his shoulder squeezed with a mix of gratitude and something fiercer, her toned form still heaving from the fight, while Nara leaned in close, her sly touch brushing his arm, eyes sparkling with that unending curiosity. The air hummed with the afterglow of battle and unspoken questions, the holographic message's cryptic warning echoing in their minds like a distant thunderclap that refused to fade. Reinforcements poured into the spire: Aurelian warriors, with white hair disheveled from combat, their elegant armors dented but unbroken, saluting the princesses with fervent loyalty. One burly guard, her pointed ears drooping from fatigue, approached with a report. "The Dravex forces are retreating, your highnesses," but their leader's corps emitted a signal burst before shutdown. "We're tracing it now." Luna nodded curtly, releasing Max with a reluctant glance, her golden eyes flickering with the drama of what lay ahead. "Good. Secure the perimeter, and prepare the council chamber. We must decipher this message before it unravels everything." As the group moved through the palace halls, the tension heightened like a bowstring drawn taut. Max walked between them, his borrowed robe askew from the chaos, glasses fogged from the lingering heat of exertion. He couldn't shake the awkwardness of it all. Here he was, a guy who'd once tripped over his own feet in a company softball game, now the linchpin in an interstellar drama. So, about that message, he ventured, trying to sound casual amid the grandeur of crystal walls that reflected their hurried reflections like judgmental mirrors. The true threat awakens sounds like something from a bad sci-fi flick. You know, the kind where the hero accidentally activates an ancient evil while trying to fix the coffee machine. Zara snorted, a burst of humor cutting through her fierce demeanor, her crimson gown swaying with each powerful stride. Bad sci-fi? Mortal, this is our reality, but if your coffee machine is anything like that scanner of yours, perhaps we've already doomed ourselves. She clapped him on the back a bit too hard, nearly sending him stumbling into Nara, who caught him with a giggle that lightened the air just a fraction. Woobess, careful there, Nara teased, her green attire still clinging from the rain, accentuating her lithe curves in a way that made Max's cheeks burn. She looped her arm through his, pulling him along with playful insistence. Wouldn't want our savior tripping over his own feet. Though, if you did, I'd be happy to catch you again. Her wink was pure mischief, heightening the awkward flutter in his chest as Luna shot her a sidelong glare, the rivalry simmering beneath their unity like embers under ash. They entered the council chamber, a vast dome of glowing vines and ancient murals that depicted Aurelian history in vivid, holographic detail, queens bonding with outsiders, battles against mechanical hordes, prophecies etched in starlight. The room buzzed with elders, white-haired figures in flowing robes, their pointed ears twitching as they huddled over a central pedestal where the captured cyborg core projected the message in looping runes. The prophecy binds you all to destruction, it repeated in a mechanical whisper, sending a chill through the assembly. Luna took charge, her voice commanding the room like a storm front. Elders, analyze the signal. Max, your insight was key before, tell us what you saw in the code. She gestured him forward, her hand brushing his in a subtle show of support that made Zara's eyes narrow ever so slightly. Max adjusted his glasses, stepping up to the pedestal amid the stares of the council. The drama escalated as he interfaced his scanner again, the runes dancing across the display. Okay, so the codes layered your ancient tech mixed with Dravex mods. But there's this weird subroutine it references, a dormant guardian buried in Lunara's core. He paused, zooming in on a symbol that looked suspiciously like a human silhouette. And get this, it's keyed to weak mortal essence. Like my DNA or something triggered it? The elders gasped, one ancient female leaning forward with wide eyes. The guardian of equilibrium. Legends say it awakens only when an outsider bonds with the throne's heirs, balancing power or unleashing chaos if the bond is impure. Whispers erupted, heightening the drama as accusatory glances flicked between the princesses. Zara crossed her arms, her curvaceous form taut with defiance. Impure? Our bond saved the palace. If anyone's impure, it's this bumbling human who crashed here like a meteor. But her tone held a hint of humor, her lips twitching as she eyed Max. Though, for a weakling, you do have a knack for dramatic entrances. Max chuckled awkwardly, rubbing the back of his neck. Hey, if I'm the chaos bringer, can I at least get a refund on my shuttle rental? The quip landed lighter than intended, drawing a few reluctant smiles from the elders, but Nara's laughter rang out, easing the tension just enough to breathe. Oh mortal, you're adorable when you're flustered, Nara cooed, sidling closer and planting a quick kiss on his cheek that left a warm imprint. Luna stiffened, the awkward situation crackling like static. Three princesses, one human, and a room full of judgmental elders watching their every move. But seriously, Nara continued, her fingers tracing a rune on the pedestal, if the guardian's awakening, we need to perform the binding ritual, all of us with him. The room fell silent, the drama peaking as the elders nodded gravely. Yes, the Ancient One intoned. The ritual in the crystal sanctum. It will seal the bond, amplify our powers against Dravex, but if the mortal's heart wavers, it could shatter the equilibrium. Max's eyes widened, the awkwardness hitting like a cosmic punchline. Wait, ritual? Bonding? Like, what, group therapy with lasers? He glanced between the sisters, his mind flashing to their earlier intimacies, now amplified by this public declaration. Zara smirked, Luna's cheeks flushed a rare pink, and Nara bit her lip to suppress a grin. It's more intimate than that, Luna explained, her voice steady but her golden eyes betraying a swirl of emotions. A merging of essences under the auroras. To prove the bond is true. Zara leaned in, her breath hot on his ear. Think of it as our earlier fun, but with an audience of stars and maybe a world-ending stakes. Her hand squeezed his thigh under the pedestal, hidden from view, heightening the awkward thrill. The elders dispersed to prepare, leaving the four alone as the murals shifted to depict the ritual in glowing detail, figures entwined in light, powers surging. Max swallowed hard, humor his only shield. So, no pressure then. Just save the planet with a cosmic cuddle session. Nara burst out laughing, pulling him into a hug that pressed her soft curves against him. Exactly. You're catching on, mortal. But beneath the levity, drama loomed. The ritual could unite them or tear Lunara apart if his weak human heart proved unworthy. As they headed to the sanctum, guards flanking them through winding passages lit by bioluminescent flowers, the awkward situations piled on. A young warrior approached Zara with a report, eyeing Max curiously. Is he the one? The prophecy's frail key. Zara puffed up, draping an arm over Max's shoulders possessively. Frail? He just hacked an army. Show some respect or I'll make you spar with him. The warrior blanched, and Max muttered, please don't, I'd lose to a pillow fight. Luna shook her head, a small smile cracking her composure. Your humility is your strength, Max. But in the sanctum you'll need more than jokes. Her hand found his, fingers intertwining as they descended deeper, the air growing warmer, charged with ancient energy. They passed through a chamber of echoing whispers, ghostly voices of past queens reciting prophecies that made Nara jump, clinging to Max's other arm. Creepy, right? Like the planets gossiping about us. Her tone was light, but her grip tightened, her body brushing his in a way that stirred awkward heat amid the drama. Finally, the crystal sanctum loomed, a cavernous space where massive crystals jutted like fangs, auroras streaming through a transparent dome above. The floor pulsed with runes, ready for the ritual. Elders arranged cushions and incense, their chants building like a dramatic overture. Undress, the lead elder commanded solemnly, and Max's face turned beet red. Wait, what? Here now? The princesses began shedding their gowns with graceful nonchalance, Luna's midnight blue pooling at her feet, revealing her stunning form, Zara's crimson slipping off like shed skin, her muscles rippling, Nara's green whispering away, her lithe body glowing in the light. Max fumbled with his robe, humor bubbling up in his embarrassment. Do I get a screen or something? Or is this Lunara's version of strip poker? The elders frowned, but the sisters chuckled, heightening the awkward intimacy. Luna approached, her naked form a vision of ethereal beauty, taking his hands. Relax, Max. This is sacred. But as they positioned in the circle, bodies close, the drama intensified. The runes ignited, energy crackling like lightning, probing their bond. A surge hit Max first, visions flashing Lunara's history, the sisters' rivalries, his own lonely Earth life. He gasped, the awkward vulnerability raw. This feels like therapy on steroids. Zara pressed against him from behind, her warmth grounding. Feel us, mortal. We're in this together. Nara flanked his side, her touch light. And if it goes wrong, at least we'll go out with a bang, literally. The energy built, drama cresting as the guardians stirred below, the ground trembling. Max's heart raced. Would his weakness doom them, or forge something unbreakable? Laughter mingled with gasps as awkward touches turned tender, the ritual weaving their fates in a tapestry of light and shadow. But midway, a crack appeared in a crystal, a sign of imbalance. The elders panicked. The bond wavers, the mortal doubts. Max's mind whirled, doubts about what? His place here. The sisters sensed it, their eyes locking on his with dramatic intensity. Max, Luna urged, her body entwined with his, let go, trust us. In that awkward, humorous pivot, naked in an alien ritual, saving a world, Max laughed outright. Screw it. I'm all in. He pulled them closer, the energy stabilizing in a rush of warmth. The drama heightened to fever pitch as the Guardian's presence manifested, a holographic entity of light, awakening not to destroy, but to ally. The bond holds, it boomed, surprising them all. Yet as relief washed over, a new tremor shook the sanctum. Dravex reinforcements, drawn by the surge. The ritual complete, powers amplified, but the fight wasn't over. The princesses donned robes hastily, Max fumbling comically. Great, ritual done, pants on, time for round 2? Zara grinned, claws extending. You rid my mind, mortal. They charged out, united, the awkward ritual forging unbreakable bonds amid the escalating drama. Lunara's fate hung by a thread, but with humor as their secret weapon, they faced the horizon's tempests head-on. The Dravex reinforcements met a fiercer resistance than they anticipated, the ritual's energy still coursing through the princesses like a living current, amplifying their grace and power in the fray. Luna led the charge with her staff blazing trails of light that shattered enemy drones mid-air, her movements a ballet of destruction. Zara dove into the thick of it, her body a whirlwind of strength and agility, claws extended as she dismantled cyborg limbs with precise, powerful strikes. Nara flitted through the shadows, her daggers finding weak points in armor, her laughter a defiant melody amid the chaos. Max, empowered by the bond, used his scanner to disrupt their signals from a vantage point, his human ingenuity turning the tide once more. The skirmish ended swiftly, the invaders scattering into the forests under the relentless auroral glow, leaving the group breathless, but victorious atop the sanctum's outer ledge. As the echoes of battle faded, replaced by the soft patter of lingering rain and the hum of Lunara's awakening guardian spirit, approving their unity, the four retreated back into the sanctum's inner chamber. The crystals still pulsed gently, casting a warm, intimate light that danced across their skin like affectionate whispers. The ritual's essence lingered in the air, a tangible warmth that drew them closer, bodies humming with unspoken need. Luna turned to Max first, her golden eyes softened by the shared triumph, her hand reaching out to trace the line of his jaw. "You've proven yourself more than worthy," she murmured, her voice a caress that sent shivers through him. Her form, still bare beneath the hastily donned robe that slipped open slightly, pressed against his, the curves of her body fitting perfectly, as if the stars had designed them for this moment. Zara, ever the bold one, shed her robe without hesitation, her toned physique glistening from the exertion, muscles flexing subtly, as she pulled Max into the circle of cushions at the chamber's heart. "No more waiting," she said with a husky tone, her white hair tumbling free as she guided him down, her legs straddling his hips in a way that ignited a deep, mutual longing. The contact was electric, her warmth enveloping him as she moved with a slow, deliberate rhythm that built on the ritual's lingering magic. Nara joined seamlessly, her lithe frame curling against his side, her fingers exploring with gentle curiosity, her breath quickening as she leaned in to capture his lips in a tender, lingering kiss. The three princesses moved in harmony, their bodies intertwining with his in a dance of affection and desire, each touch a blend of tenderness and passion that celebrated their bond. Max surrendered to the sensations, his hands roaming over Luna's soft contours, feeling the rise and fall of her chest as she arched closer, her pointed ears twitching with every sigh. The intimacy deepened, a shared exploration where boundaries blurred in waves of pleasure, their movements synchronized by the ritual's glow that seemed to heighten every caress, every whisper of skin against skin. Zara's strength guided the pace, her hips undulating in a rhythm that drew soft gasps from them all. While Nara's playful nips along his neck added sparks of delight, her curves pressing insistently as she shifted to join more fully. The chamber filled with their quiet murmurs of encouragement, the auroras above mirroring the building intensity with swirling colors that bathed them in ethereal light. In this sacred space, the connection transcended the physical, weaving their essences together in a profound union that echoed the prophecy's promise. Luna's embraces grew more fervent, her body melding with his in a way that spoke of deep emotional surrender, her golden eyes locking onto his with unspoken devotion. Zara's powerful form softened in vulnerability, her touches turning from commanding to reverent, as if discovering new depths in their shared vulnerability. Nara, with her mischievous spirit, brought lightness even here, her laughter mingling with moans as she explored and was explored, her agility adding unexpected thrills to the tapestry of their intimacy. Time seemed to stretch, the outside world forgotten as they lost themselves in the ebb and flow of closeness, each peak of sensation drawing them tighter as a unit. The ritual's energy amplified the experience, making every brush of lips, every entwined limb feel like a culmination of destinies aligned. Max, the once ordinary human, felt empowered in their arms, his presence awakening not just their powers but a profound sense of belonging. As the waves of fulfillment washed over them in unison, leaving them entwined and breathless amid the glowing crystals, a deeper peace settled, a quiet assurance that their bond could withstand any storm. Yet even in this afterglow, as they lay tangled together, skin cooling under the gentle auroral breeze filtering through the dome, A subtle vibration hummed from the Guardian's core below. Luna stirred first, her head resting on Max's chest, listening to his heartbeat. "The equilibrium holds," she whispered, but her tone carried a note of caution. Zara propped herself up, her hand still laced with his, while Nara traced lazy patterns on his arm. The intimacy had sealed their alliance, but the prophecy's shadows lingered, hinting at trials yet to come. For now though, in the warmth of their shared embrace, they savored the moment, bodies and hearts aligned against whatever Lunara's fates held next. The quiet assurance of their bond wrapped around them like the sanctum's gentle glow, a serene counterpoint to the distant rumbles of Lunara's recovering landscapes. Max lay there amidst the cushions, his body entwined with the princess's, the subtle rise and fall of their breaths sinking in a rhythm that felt eternal. Luna's head remained on his chest, her white hair spilling like moonlight across his skin, while Zara's strong arm draped over his waist, her curves nestled against his side with a possessive warmth. Nara traced idle patterns on his thigh, her touch light and affectionate, her golden eyes half-lidded in contentment. The crystals hummed softly, their pulses echoing the Guardian's subtle vibrations below, as if the planet itself approved of this union, weaving their fates into an unbreakable whole. But as the afterglow deepened, the vibrations grew stronger, shifting from a soothing hum to a resonant thrum that made the air shimmer. Luna lifted her head slightly, her pointed ears twitching with a flicker of unease. "The Guardian it's stirring more than before," she whispered, her voice laced with quiet wonder. Zara propped herself up on one elbow, her toned form flexing as she scanned the chamber, ever the warrior alert to change. "Perhaps it's sealing the equilibrium fully. We did it right after all." Nara smiled lazily, pressing a soft kiss to Max's shoulder. "Or maybe it's just jealous of our fun." Max chuckled, pulling them all closer, savoring the intimacy that had transformed strangers into something profound. "Whatever it is, as long as it doesn't interrupt round two," his words cut off as the central crystal ignited with a brilliant flash, projecting a holographic form into the air above them. The Guardian materialized fully for the first time, not as a vague entity of light, but as a towering, ethereal figure with features echoing the Aurelian's porcelain skin, flowing white hair, and eyes that burned with ancient wisdom. It hovered silently at first, its gaze sweeping over the group, as if assessing the depth of their connection. "Children of Lunara," it intoned, its voice a harmonious blend of echoes that filled the chamber like a symphony. "The bond is forged, powers amplified. But the prophecy unfolds in layers unseen." The princesses sat up slowly, robes forgotten in the moment, their bodies still closed to Max's as they faced the apparition. Luna's hand tightened on his, a subtle tension building. "Speak plainly, Guardian," she urged. "What more must we know?" The hologram shifted, displaying swirling visions, fragments of Lunara's history, battles long past, and then surprisingly images of Earth, Max's homeworld, with its bustling cities and starry explorations. Max's heart skipped, a curious pull drawing him in. "Why Earth?" he murmured, leaning forward. The Guardian's eyes locked onto him, glowing brighter. "Because the weak mortal is no accident of the stars. You, Max Thompson, are the architect of this convergence, not its victim." A wave of data cascaded through the projection: genetic scans, warp signatures from his crashed shuttle, hidden logs buried in his scanner's core. "Your arrival was engineered. Not by chance but by design. You carry a latent code, implanted by human scientists from Terra Prime, to infiltrate and activate Lunara's core crystals. The prophecy was twisted. Humans discovered our world centuries ago through a lost probe, coveting its power. They sent you, unaware, as a Trojan vessel. Your weakness was the disguise. Your bond with the heirs awakens not just our strength, but a gateway for Earth's invasion fleet." The words hit like a supernova, shattering the serenity. Max recoiled, his mind reeling as buried memories surfaced, flashes of a pre-flight briefing he'd dismissed as routine, a strange implant procedure masked as a medical check. "No, that can't be," he stammered, his voice breaking. The princesses froze, their golden eyes widening in shock. Luna pulled back slightly, her curves no longer a comfort but a sudden barrier, her expression a storm of betrayal and confusion. "You were sent to destroy us?" she breathed, the intimacy they shared moments ago twisting into a painful echo. Zara leaped to her feet, her naked form taut with fury, claws half extended. "A spy. All this time your touches, your help a lie." Nara, usually the light-hearted one, stared at him with wounded disbelief, her hand hovering as if unsure whether to caress or strike. But the bond, it felt real. How could it be a deception? The Guardian continued relentlessly, its voice unmoved. The code activates fully now. Earth's fleet approaches through the wormhole you opened unwittingly. Lunara stands at the brink, not from Dravex, who were mere pawns in human schemes, but from the very stars that birthed your kind. To save us, the bond must be severed or redefined. Choose wisely, for destruction binds you all. Max's world spun, the powerful revelation ripping through him like a rift in space. He wasn't the hero, he was the harbinger. The princesses encircled him, not in affection but intense vigilance, their bodies a mix of allure and threat under the hologram's glow. Tears stung his eyes as he reached out. I didn't know, I swear. But the bond, it's changed me. We can fight this together. The air crackled with uncertainty, the twist hanging like a blade, forcing them to question everything: love, loyalty, and the fragile line between savior and destroyer. As the Guardian faded, leaving the chamber in heavy silence, alarms blared from the palace systems, Earth ships emerging from the wormhole, their signatures confirming the betrayal. Luna stood, her resolve hardening amidst the heartbreak. If you're truly with us, prove it now. Zara nodded grimly, Nara's eyes searching his for truth. Max rose, determination igniting amid the surprise, ready to turn the twist on its head and redefine his fate. The stars watched, the bond tested to its core, as Lunara braced for the true war. The alarms pierced the sanctum's lingering hush like accusatory screams, red lights pulsing across the crystals in sync with the incoming threat from the wormhole. Max stood there, heart hammering, surrounded by the princesses whose expressions had shifted from post-intimacy glow to a storm of emotions. Luna's golden eyes narrowing in pained scrutiny, Zara's claws fully extended as if ready to rend the truth from him, and Nara's playful demeanor cracking into a mask of hurt confusion. The Guardian's hologram had dissolved, but its revelations hung heavy, twisting their hard-won bond into a knot of doubt and urgency. I swear I didn't know, Max repeated, his voice cracking under the weight, hands raised in a futile gesture of innocence. Those briefings, the implant, it was all buried. But now, I'm choosing you, Lunara. We stop this together. The words tumbled out, desperate to bridge the chasm opening between them. Luna stepped forward first, her bare form still a vision of ethereal power, but now her curves seemed armored in tension as she grabbed his arm, not in affection, but with a grip that bordered on restraint. Choosing us. After being the bait that lures your own kind here. Her voice trembled with drama, the betrayal stinging like a fresh wound, her pointed ears flattening against her white hair. The awkwardness hit Max like a cosmic slap. Moments ago, they'd been entwined in ecstasy, and now she looked at him like a puzzle that might explode. Zara circled him slowly, her toned body radiating heat and menace, her crimson robe half slipped from one shoulder in the chaos, exposing a glimpse that only amplified the uncomfortable mix of desire and distrust. If this is a trick, mortal, I'll make sure your fleet regrets ever programming you, she growled, but then paused, sniffing the air with exaggerated flair. Though you still smell like us. Hard to fake that, huh? A reluctant smirk tugged at her lips, injecting a spark of humor into the escalating drama, like a pressure valve releasing just enough steam to keep things from boiling over. Nara, usually the one to lighten moods, hovered back a step, her green attire clutched tightly as if shielding her vulnerability, her fingers twitching with uncertainty. Real or not, this is the worst plot twist ever, she quipped, her voice wavering between laughter and tears, heightening the awkward intimacy of the moment. We just, bonded in every way, and now you're basically a walking earth bomb? Talk about bad timing for a relationship upgrade. She reached out tentatively, poking his chest as if testing if he'd glitch, which drew a nervous chuckle from Max despite the gravity. Hey, if I'm a bomb, at least I'm your bomb now, he shot back, trying to diffuse the tension with humor, though his cheeks burned with the absurdity naked truths laid bare in more ways than one. The palace shook with the first distant impacts of the approaching fleet, holographic alerts flooding the chamber with schematics of sleek Earth vessels emerging like predators from the void. Luna released his arm, but not before her touch lingered a heartbeat too long, a silent war between her heart and head. We don't have time for doubts, she declared, her commanding presence rallying them, though the drama etched lines of conflict on her face. To the command spire now. If you're truly with us, hack their systems like you did Dravex. Prove it. She tossed him his scanner, the device skittering across the floor in a clumsy arc that Max fumbled to catch, nearly tripping over a cushion in the process. Zara snorted, grabbing her staff and adjusting her robe with a huff. Graceful as ever, spy boy. If we survive, you owe us a rematch without the apocalypse interrupting. Her words carried a bite, but the underlying humor softened the edge, pulling them forward amid the awkward rift. They dashed through the corridors, the princess's bare feet slapping against the crystal floors while Max struggled to keep pace, his robe flapping comically like a flag of surrender. Guards joined their sprint, white-haired warriors casting sidelong glances at the disheveled group, three princesses in rumpled attire, a human trailing behind like a lost puppy. One young sentinel did a double take, her ears perking in confusion. Your Highnesses, the ritual was successful? Nara burst into laughter mid-stride, the sound echoing off the walls. Oh, very, until the universe decided to crash the after-party with an invasion. Classic Lunara hospitality. The quip eased the guards' tension, but heightened the drama as explosions rocked the palace, debris raining from above in a shower that forced them to dodge like dancers in a deadly ballet. Bursting into the command spire, the scene was pandemonium, consoles sparking, elders barking orders, holograms showing Earth's fleet deploying fighters that swarmed like angry bees toward Lunara's shields. The awkwardness peaked as the council turned, eyes widening at their state robes askew, hair tousled from battle and bond alike. An elder cleared her throat, averting her gaze. The equilibrium holds, I presume. Max's face flamed, but Zara stepped up unfazed. It does now, focus. Our mortal here has a fleet to betray. She shoved Max toward a console, her hand on his back, a mix of push and reluctant trust. Fingers flying over the interface, Max delved into the code, the drama cresting as familiar Earth algorithms unfolded twisted versions of his own work. They're using my old security protocols, I can breach them, he muttered, sweat beading on his brow, but a failsafe triggered, a voice booming from the speakers, his former boss from Terra Prime, holographic and smug. Thompson, you're alive. Excellent, the implant worked. Surrender Lunara's crystals and we'll extract you. The princesses gasped, the betrayal broadcast for all to hear, heightening the stakes to unbearable levels. Luna slammed her staff down, shattering a nearby drone feed. Extract him? Over our shattered world. Zara roared, claws scraping the console. Nara leaned in close to Max, her breath hot and conflicted. Well, this is awkward, your ex-boss gate-crashing our honeymoon phase. Her humor cut through, but her eyes pleaded for reassurance. Max hesitated only a second, then injected the virus, screens flickering as Earth's systems faltered. Fighters veered off course, colliding in fiery bursts. I'm not going anywhere, he declared, turning to them with fierce determination. The fleet retreated, but not before launching a parting salvo that cracked the spire's dome, rain and debris pouring in. In the chaos, Luna pulled him into a fierce embrace, awkward amid the destruction. You chose us. Zara joined, her strength enveloping them, Nara squeezing in with a grin. Group hug in the apocalypse, my kind of drama. Laughter mingled with alarms, the bond reforged in fire, but the war raged on, Earth's full might looming, secrets unraveling, and their unlikely family teetering on the edge of oblivion or triumph. The group hug dissolved into action as the spire's dome continued to fracture, rain mingling with sparks from damaged consoles, but their renewed unity fueled a surge of resolve that cut through the chaos like a beacon. Luna broke away first, her golden eyes alight with fierce determination, grabbing Max's hand and pulling him toward a secondary console that flickered resiliently amid the debris. Together we end this now, she said, her voice a steady anchor in the storm, her curves brushing against him in a reminder of the intimacy that had redefined them all. Zara nodded, her claws retracting as she manned a weapons array, her toned form poised like a guardian statue, while Nara darted to reinforce the shields with quick, nimble adjustments, her laughter fading into focused murmurs. Max dove back into the code, his fingers blurring over the interface, weaving Earth algorithms with Aurelian runes in a hybrid that felt like an extension of their bond, human ingenuity fused with alien grace. The Earth's fleet pressed on relentlessly, their ships a swarm of cold metal against Lunara's vibrant auroras, but Max's virus spread like wildfire through their networks, exploiting the very implant in him as a backdoor. Fighters spiraled out of control, colliding in spectacular bursts of flame that lit the sky like fleeting stars, and the command vessel's shields faltered under Zara's targeted strikes, her roars of triumph echoing through the comms. "Take that, you circuit brain traitors," she bellowed, a hint of her fiery humor returning as a massive explosion bloomed on the hologram. Nara whooped, her lithe body twisting in victory as she locked down the wormhole's coordinates, sealing it with a pulse from the Guardian's core that rippled through space like a cosmic sigh. Luna stood beside Max, her hand on his shoulder, guiding the final override that broadcast a message to the retreating forces. "Earth, stand down. The bridge you built is burned by one of your own." As the last enemy ship vanished into the void, the alarms silenced, replaced by the soft hum of stabilizing systems and the distant cheers of Aurelian warriors below. The drama that had gripped Lunara eased like a receding tide, leaving behind a world forever changed. The princesses turned to Max, their expressions a tapestry of relief, love, and quiet awe. Luna's elegant poise softened by a genuine smile, Zara's strength yielding to a rare vulnerability, Nara's mischief tempered by deep affection. "You didn't just choose us," Luna whispered, pulling him into an embrace that enveloped him in her warmth, her white hair cascading over them like a protective veil. "You saved us from them, and perhaps from ourselves." Zara joined, her powerful arms wrapping around the group, her curves pressing close in a hug that spoke of unbreakable solidarity. "Who knew a weak mortal would be our greatest strength? Don't let it go to your head though, or I'll spar you into submission." Her grin was wide, the humor a bridge back to lighter days. Nara squeezed in last, her playful nips turning to tender kisses on his cheek. "Our family now, spy boy. No more twists, just us ruling the stars." In the days that followed, Lunara healed under their united rule, the three princesses ascending as company queens, with Max at their side as consort and advisor, his human perspective weaving innovation into their ancient ways. The prophecy, once a harbinger of destruction, became a legend of redemption, whispered in the oral winds. Earth backed off, their ambitions thwarted, leaving space for tentative peace. Max, no longer lost but found, gazed at the skies from the palace balcony one evening, the princesses entwined with him under the swirling lights. "Home," he murmured, feeling their heartbeats sync with his own. And in that cosmic harmony, their story born of accident, forged in fire, sealed in love found its perfect, enduring close.